The creatures of folklore, as we have discovered, are not merely fantastical entities. They are mirrors of human imagination, observation, and ethical reflection. Forest and water spirits encourage attentiveness, patience, and harmony with nature. Skybound creatures inspire wonder, perspective, and aspiration. Nocturnal beings foster subtle observation and mindfulness. Tricksters and shapeshifters reveal the fluidity of perception and identity, while guardians and prophetic entities offer guidance, moral insight, and foresight. Each category of creature, though distinct, contributes to a unified meditation on curiosity, reflection, and imaginative engagement, gently preparing the mind for rest and contemplation. Throughout the journey, contrasts have played a subtle yet powerful role, shaping the rhythm and tone of the narrative. Light and shadow, ordinary and extraordinary, playful and solemn, visible and hidden, all have been woven together to sustain curiosity without tension or alarm. These dualities mirror the complexity of the world itself, reminding the listener that meaning often emerges through observation, reflection, and patient engagement. Folklore invites us to perceive nuance, recognize patterns, and contemplate the interplay of forces that shape both the natural and human worlds. This gentle attentiveness fosters a meditative state, perfectly aligned with the sleep-friendly intent of the documentary. The poetic qualities of folklore, soft imagery, rhythmic storytelling, and immersive landscapes have guided the listener throughout this exploration. Moonlit forests, glimmering rivers, windswept skies, and shadowed glades all serve as backdrops for encounters with creatures whose presence embodies wisdom, curiosity, and reflection. Each description has been carefully paced, allowing the mind to drift and imagine without urgency, to absorb lessons without pressure, and to linger in quiet observation. In this closing reflection, these elements coalesce into a serene meditation on the enduring power of story and imagination. Cultural continuity reinforces the universality and richness of the journey. Despite differences in geography, language, or historical context, similar archetypes appear across traditions. The attentive guardian, the playful trickster, the transformative shapeshifter, and the prophetic creature who signals hidden truths. These recurring motifs highlight shared aspects of human perception, imagination, and ethical reflection. Recognizing these patterns encourages a sense of connection across time and space, allowing listeners to appreciate the ways in which folklore functions as a living repository of collective curiosity, observation, and wisdom. Memory and legacy also play a central role in this final reflection. Each creature, from river spirits to nocturnal watchers, embodies centuries of cultural thought and imaginative creativity. By carrying these stories forward, human communities have preserved ethical lessons, environmental awareness, and imaginative insight. The audience is invited to consider the lasting impact of folklore. It shapes perception, nurtures curiosity, and offers gentle guidance for reflection and understanding. In this light, imagination itself becomes a vessel for cultural memory, linking past, present, and future in a soft, continuous flow. The final section also emphasizes the gentle rhythm of perception and reflection. By revisiting the creatures and stories encountered, the listener is encouraged to notice subtle patterns, contrasts, and connections. Forests, rivers, skies, and shadows merge with lessons from tricksters, guardians, and prophetic beings, forming an integrated mental landscape. The mind is invited to absorb these experiences with calm attentiveness, integrating both narrative and symbolism into a cohesive reflection. This meditative synthesis encourages peaceful awareness, curiosity, and imaginative engagement, leaving the listener in a state of gentle wonder and contemplative calm. As the journey concludes, attention is drawn to the enduring magic of folklore. Creatures that once seemed distant or mysterious are now companions in imagination, carrying wisdom, curiosity, and insight into everyday perception. The listener is encouraged to carry forward these stories into their own reflections, allowing the lessons of observation, patience, attentiveness, and wonder to permeate both thought and imagination. In this way, folklore transcends time and culture, offering a meditative space where curiosity and reflection coexist and where imagination continues to thrive. The mountains of Asia rise like silent sentinels, their peaks lost in clouds, their slopes carved by centuries of wind, snow, and time. They are more than just rock and ice. They are repositories of stories, ancient and enduring, where human ambition and nature's vastness meet in quiet tension. In these high places, the air is thin and the world below seems distant, almost unreal, allowing space for imagination to wander and for legends to settle in the mind. From the Himalayas in the north to the misty peaks of Japan's sacred mountains, these elevations have long been associated with spirits, deities, and unexplained phenomena. Travelers, monks, and wanderers have all spoken of feeling the weight of the mountain's history, a sense of presence that is felt more than seen. In Japan, Mount Hai and Mount Fuji have inspired tales that are both serene and unsettling. The snow-covered peaks of Hai are said to shelter spirits of ancient monks, their chants lingering long after the stone temples have grown silent. Travelers who ascend these slopes often report a stillness that seems almost alive, as if the wind itself carries whispers of a time when gods walked among humans. Fuji, a mountain of both breathtaking beauty and quiet menace, has been the backdrop for countless myths. Stories of immortals who dwell above the clouds, of mysterious fires seen from the valleys below, and of pilgrimages where the physical journey mirrors a spiritual ascent. These mountains teach patience, humility, and a quiet respect for forces larger than oneself. Farther north, the Himalayan range stretches across borders and centuries, its snowfields hiding monasteries perched precariously on cliffs. These peaks are not only physical barriers, but also metaphors for the unattainable, the unknowable. Legends speak of yetis, mysterious creatures glimpsed fleetingly by Sherpas and travelers. Some accounts are dismissed as folklore, while others are recorded in local chronicles with surprising consistency. The mountains, silent and unmoving, seem to encourage belief in what cannot be fully verified, blending natural grandeur with the intangible. The high passes and valleys carry stories of lost travelers who vanished in snowstorms, leaving behind only footprints that disappear as if swallowed by time. In China, the sacred Wudong Mountains offer a different kind of mystery. Here, Taoist monks have for centuries cultivated a connection between body, spirit, and the natural world. Legends tell of warriors who mastered both martial and spiritual arts, reaching a state where their movements harmonized with the unseen forces of the mountains. Pilgrims report strange phenomena, light shifting unexpectedly among the peaks, a quiet hum in the air that seems to guide the steps of the faithful. These mountains, both protector and enigma, illustrate the delicate balance of visible reality and hidden influence, a theme that echoes across Asia's highlands. Southward, the Karakoram and Hindu Kush ranges are less traveled, their isolation preserving both nature and legend. In these rugged regions, local communities tell of spirits who guard valleys and passes, offering safety to those who respect the land and warning to those who disturb its peace. Stories of sudden snowstorms, vanishing travelers, and lights seen dancing along ridges at night contribute to a sense that the mountains themselves are sentient, observing the human world with quiet judgment. Here, the line between natural phenomena and supernatural presence blurs, inviting contemplation and gentle, or rather than fear. Beyond the tangible landscapes, these mountains have inspired myths that reach far into human consciousness. Tales of hidden cities, lost monasteries, and ancient hermits who possessed knowledge of the universe persist in oral traditions. Sometimes the stories are so vivid that a listener feels as though the mountains themselves speak, their slopes and valleys forming a subtle language of shadows and echoes. Travelers describe a sensation of walking through layers of history, as if each step touches a memory left behind by countless generations. In this sense, the mountains become more than geography. They're living archives of human curiosity, resilience, and wonder. Even the flora and fauna of these heights add to the sense of the mysterious. Pines twisted by wind, alpine flowers that bloom briefly in hidden crevices, and elusive wildlife all seem attuned to rhythms beyond human comprehension. Snow leopards, ibex, and mountain birds move silently, their presence hinted at through fleeting tracks and distant calls. These creatures, part of a natural order, both visible and unseen, reinforce the mountain's dual nature, places of serene beauty and subtle threat, of tranquility and whispered stories. The listener is drawn into a contemplative state, imagining the interplay of wind, rock, and life, as well as the legends that emerge from such remote spaces. Travelers often describe an ineffable feeling when encountering mountain legends, a combination of fear, reverence, and quiet fascination. The peaks seem to embody patience and endurance, reminding the mind that some mysteries are meant to be observed, not solved. The mountain's vastness allows for contemplation of the human condition, as small and fleeting in comparison to the immensity around them. They are reminders that some truths are elusive, and that the human desire to know every secret must coexist with acceptance of uncertainty. This slow revelation mirrors the pacing ideal for sleep-friendly storytelling, where curiosity is gently maintained without urgency or alarm. In the evening, as the sun dips behind distant ridges, the mountains change hue, shifting from brilliant gold to deep indigo. Shadows lengthen, and a quiet hush settles over the slopes. It is in these moments that the legends feel closest, ancient voices carried by the wind, lingering in the spaces between rocks and clouds. Listeners are invited to feel the calm, to let the mind wander along the trails of monks, traders, and explorers who traversed these heights long before maps or cameras existed. The mountain's majesty and mystery intertwine, creating a hypnotic cadence that soothes the mind, preparing it for the next journey into the forests, valleys, and hidden villages that lie below. Thus, the mountains of Asia are not merely landscapes. They are storytellers, guardians of ancient knowledge, and keepers of mysteries that quietly endure. They teach the value of patience, observation, and reverence for forces beyond human comprehension. By listening to their stories, one is drawn into a meditative state, floating gently between fact and legend, between visible peaks and the invisible echoes that dwell in the air above them. And as we descend from these heights, we carry with us the lingering sense of awe, the subtle thrill of the unknown, and a calm readiness to explore the forests and valleys where even deeper legends await. As we leave the high peaks behind, the landscape softens into dense forests and whispering woods, where sunlight filters gently through layers of leaves, and the air carries a subtle, timeless scent of earth and moss. These forests have long been seen as thresholds between the familiar world of humans and the hidden realms of spirits, mythical beings, and untold secrets. In Asia, forests are not merely collections of trees. They are living entities, guardians of memory, and stages upon which countless legends unfold. From the jungles of India to the temperate woodlands of Siberia and the tropical canopies of Southeast Asia, these green expanses invite quiet exploration, offering both calm and curiosity to those who wander through them. In India, the dense jungles of Madhya Pradesh and the Western Ghats are steeped in ancient folklore. Villagers speak of spirits who inhabit the trees and rivers, of animals with uncanny intelligence, and of places where the air seems to hum with quiet energy. Travelers report glimpses of ethereal figures moving silently through the mist, disappearing as quickly as they appeared. These stories, passed down through generations, often blend historical events with supernatural encounters, creating a tapestry in which fact and legend coexist seamlessly. The forests are alive not just with flora and fauna, but with memory, traces of rituals, vanished communities, and sacred sites hidden beneath the greenery. Further north, the Siberian taigas offer a different rhythm of mystery. Vast, unbroken, and cold, these forests are inhabited by creatures both ordinary and legendary. The Evenki and other indigenous peoples have long told stories of forest spirits, of shamans who traverse invisible paths, and of snow-covered clearings where time itself seems suspended. The taiga, with its endless stretches of pine and fir, becomes a mirror for the human imagination, reflecting fears, hopes, and unanswered questions. In the quiet of these woods, even the slightest rustle of leaves can feel significant, as though the forest is gently speaking to those who listen. In Southeast Asia, rainforests cloak islands and peninsulas in perpetual green, their thick canopies filtering light into shifting patterns on the forest floor. In Thailand, Cambodia, and Indonesia, dense jungles hide remnants of ancient civilizations, temples swallowed by vegetation, carvings worn smooth by time, and statues half-covered by vines. Here, legends speak of protective spirits, mischievous forest dwellers, and hidden treasures left by those who walked these lands centuries ago. Local villagers often leave offerings at secluded shrines, gestures of respect to the unseen forces believed to inhabit the woods. Walking through these forests, one feels simultaneously at peace and alert, aware that these trees have witnessed centuries of life, loss, and mystery. The forests also carry the weight of history in subtler ways. Paths used by traders, soldiers, and pilgrims centuries ago still exist, often overgrown and nearly invisible, yet they bear silent testimony to human endeavor and curiosity. These trails, lined with ancient stones or carved markers, guide the eye to hidden clearings or sacred groves, suggesting that the land itself is aware of those who seek its secrets. The quiet sounds of flowing streams, bird calls, and rustling leaves create a meditative cadence, encouraging the mind to wander and settle simultaneously, a balance essential for sleep-friendly storytelling. Fauna in these forests further enrich the sense of mystery. Tigers in India, elusive leopards in Southeast Asia, and elusive Siberian lynxes move silently, their presence more felt than seen. Birds with haunting calls, insects that hum in the dusk, and animals that leave fleeting tracks add layers of unseen activity, reinforcing the idea that the forests are alive with stories waiting to be discovered. These creatures, both ordinary and legendary, illustrate the delicate interplay between natural reality and the imagination, highlighting a core aspect of Asia's mysterious landscapes. Legends in these forests often blend moral lessons with eerie encounters. As we arrive at the final section of this journey through ancient folklore, the focus turns to gentle reflection, synthesis, and the enduring resonance of the creatures and stories we have explored. This is a space of calm closure, where imagination, observation, and curiosity converge, allowing the listener to integrate the lessons, insights, and meditative experiences gathered throughout the journey. Forest spirits, waterborne beings, sky creatures, nocturnal entities, tricksters, guardians, and prophetic beings all now exist together as a harmonious tapestry of thought, memory, and poetic imagination. In this serene moment, the listener is invited to linger in reflection, allowing the stories to settle softly in the mind and to resonate long after the narrative concludes. The creatures of folklore, as we have discovered, are not merely fantastical entities. They are mirrors of human imagination, observation, and ethical reflection. Forest and water spirits encourage attentiveness, patience, and harmony with nature. Skybound creatures inspire wonder, perspective, and aspiration. Nocturnal beings foster subtle observation and mindfulness. Tricksters and shapeshifters reveal the fluidity of perception and identity, while guardians and prophetic entities offer guidance, moral insight, and foresight. Each category of creature, though distinct, contributes to a unified meditation on curiosity, reflection, and imaginative engagement, gently preparing the mind for rest and contemplation. Throughout the journey, contrasts have played a subtle yet powerful role, shaping the rhythm and tone of the narrative. Light and shadow, ordinary and extraordinary, playful and solemn, visible and hidden, all have been woven together to sustain curiosity without tension or alarm. These dualities mirror the complexity of the world itself, reminding the listener that meaning often emerges through observation, reflection, and patient engagement. Folklore invites us to perceive nuance, recognize patterns, and contemplate the interplay of forces that shape both the natural and human worlds. This gentle attentiveness fosters a meditative state, perfectly aligned with the sleep-friendly intent of the documentary. The poetic qualities of folklore, soft imagery, rhythmic storytelling, and immersive landscapes have guided the listener throughout this exploration. Moonlit forests, glimmering rivers, windswept skies, and shadowed glades all serve as backdrops for encounters with creatures whose presence embodies wisdom, curiosity, and reflection. Each description has been carefully paced, allowing the mind to drift and imagine without urgency, to absorb lessons without pressure, and to linger in quiet observation. In this closing reflection, these elements coalesce into a serene meditation on the enduring power of story and imagination. Cultural continuity reinforces the universality and richness of the journey. Despite differences in geography, language, or historical context, similar archetypes appear across traditions. The attentive guardian, the playful trickster, the transformative shapeshifter, and the prophetic creature who signals hidden truths. These recurring motifs highlight shared aspects of human perception, imagination, and ethical reflection. Recognizing these patterns encourages a sense of connection across time and space, allowing listeners to appreciate the ways in which folklore functions as a living repository of collective curiosity, observation, and wisdom. Memory and legacy also play a central role in this final reflection. Each creature, from river spirits to nocturnal watchers, embodies centuries of cultural thought and imaginative creativity. By carrying these stories forward, human communities have preserved ethical lessons, environmental awareness, and imaginative insight. The audience is invited to consider the lasting impact of folklore. It shapes perception, nurtures curiosity, and offers gentle guidance for reflection and understanding. In this light, imagination itself becomes a vessel for cultural memory, linking past, present, and future in a soft, continuous flow. The final section also emphasizes the gentle rhythm of perception and reflection. By revisiting the creatures and stories encountered, the listener is encouraged to notice subtle patterns, contrasts, and connections. Forests, rivers, skies, and shadows merge with lessons from tricksters, guardians, and prophetic beings, forming an integrated mental landscape. The mind is invited to absorb these experiences with calm attentiveness, integrating both narrative and symbolism into a cohesive reflection. This meditative synthesis encourages peaceful awareness, curiosity, and imaginative engagement, leaving the listener in a state of gentle wonder and contemplative calm. As the journey concludes, attention is drawn to the enduring magic of folklore. Creatures that once seemed distant or mysterious are now companions in imagination, carrying wisdom, curiosity, and insight into everyday perception. The listener is encouraged to carry forward these stories into their own reflections, allowing the lessons of observation, patience, attentiveness, and wonder to permeate both thought and imagination. In this way, folklore transcends time and culture, offering a meditative space where curiosity and reflection coexist, and where imagination continues to thrive. The gentle rhythm of the narrative, reinforced throughout the documentary, leaves the mind both relaxed and engaged. Contrast, poetic imagery, and immersive storytelling have guided the listener through shadow and light, ordinary and extraordinary, playful and reflective. Each creature, each story, has contributed to a calm, contemplative experience, allowing imagination to drift without fear and curiosity to flourish without urgency. The result is a holistic meditation on folklore, perception, and human creativity, perfectly suited for a sleep-friendly, nighttime listening experience. In these final moments, the listener is invited to rest in the quiet resonance of the journey. Folklore's creatures, landscapes, and lessons linger softly in the imagination, creating a sense of continuity, wonder, and reflective calm. The journey has traversed time, space, and imagination, weaving a tapestry of wisdom, curiosity, and poetic insight. As the narrative closes, the mind is prepared to drift gently into rest, carrying the subtle magic of ancient stories, the calm awareness of observation, and the enduring spark of imaginative wonder into dreams and reflection beyond the screen. As the dense forests give way to open valleys and gently rolling hills, the quiet rhythm of secluded villages begins to emerge. These settlements, often hidden from the paths of modern travelers, preserve customs and knowledge that have endured for centuries. Life here moves at a pace dictated not by clocks or technology, but by the cycles of the sun, the seasons, and the land itself. Walking along narrow, dusty lanes lined with simple homes, one senses a lingering connection to both the natural world and the mysterious forces that have long shaped human existence in these regions. Each village seems to breathe in harmony with its surroundings, carrying stories and legends that are whispered across generations. In Tibet, high in the mountains beyond the reach of bustling towns, small villages maintain a rhythm that feels timeless. The air carries the faint scent of incense from monasteries perched on cliffs, and prayer flags flutter gently, their colors vibrant against the muted tones of stone and earth. Monks perform rituals at dawn, their chants resonating through the valleys in soft, measured tones. Legends speak of spirits who walk unseen among the villagers, offering guidance or subtle warnings. These stories are treated not as superstition, but as a living part of daily life, a reminder that the world contains layers beyond what the eye can see. Travelers passing through often find themselves pausing, sensing that the quiet here is thick with both history and the unseen. In remote Japanese villages, the blending of natural beauty with spiritual practice creates a similar atmosphere. Forests, rivers, and mountains are not merely backdrops. They are integral to village life, shaping both work and ritual. Locals speak of kami, spirits inhabiting rocks, trees, and streams, whose presence can bring both fortune and misfortune. Ceremonial festivals mark the turning of the seasons, honoring these invisible forces with dance, song, and offerings. Even mundane tasks, such as tending crops or fetching water, are performed with an awareness of the land's unseen guardians. These subtle practices create a sense of harmony between humans and the natural and supernatural worlds, reinforcing the idea that mystery persists quietly in everyday life. Southeast Asia also hosts villages where legend and daily routine coexist seamlessly. In Indonesia, small settlements nestled among rice terraces and dense jungle maintain rituals that honor ancestral spirits and local deities. Stories of protective spirits and mischievous entities are woven into the fabric of life, shaping decisions, relationships, and celebrations. Children grow up listening to tales of hidden caves and guardian spirits, absorbing lessons about respect, courage, and the unknown. Adults continue the practice of leaving small offerings at trees, rivers, and household altars, acknowledging that life is interwoven with forces both visible and invisible. This interplay of legend and daily life creates a meditative rhythm, inviting the listener to slow down and notice subtleties that often go unseen. One of the most compelling aspects of these villages is the way they preserve oral traditions. Unlike the written histories of cities and empires, the stories of small settlements are passed directly from one generation to the next, evolving with time while retaining their essence. Elderly storytellers recall events that occurred decades or centuries ago, blending historical fact with interpretation, symbolism, and moral lessons. Children listen attentively, wide-eyed and silent, as though the very act of hearing is a ritual. The continuity of these oral traditions creates a sense of permanence and resilience, highlighting the quiet endurance of human curiosity and imagination in the face of time's passage. The architecture and layout of these villages also reflect the balance between human life and mystery. Homes are often built using natural materials, blending seamlessly with the surrounding landscape. Shrines, small temples, and sacred spaces are interspersed throughout, marking locations imbued with legend or spiritual significance. Courtyards may conceal ancient stones, wells, or carvings whose origins are uncertain, their meaning known only to the elders or guardians. Streets and pathways often follow natural contours rather than imposed grids, encouraging wandering and reflection. Walking through these spaces, a traveler senses a gentle guidance toward the unknown, as if the land itself is shaping the journey. Stories of unusual occurrences are common, yet they are presented with calm acceptance rather than fear. Villagers may recount sudden appearances of luminous figures in the mist, whispers that seem to come from the trees, or fleeting glimpses of animals behaving in extraordinary ways. These events are rarely sensationalized. They are woven into the rhythm of life, treated as natural parts of existence. Such accounts bridge the realms of fact and myth, allowing listeners to consider the presence of the unseen without the urgency or tension of fear. In this way, the narrative maintains a gentle, hypnotic cadence, drawing attention to both history and legend simultaneously. The quietness of village life allows for subtle observation, encouraging reflection on the passage of time and the persistence of memory. The gentle sounds of daily life, footsteps along dirt paths, the soft clatter of tools, the distant murmur of conversation, blend with natural sounds, creating an immersive soundscape. Shadows stretch long across courtyards and rice paddies as the sun moves through the sky, and the evening brings the gentle chorus of crickets, frogs, and distant birds. Within this calm environment, legends feel immediate yet restful, their unfolding echoing the rhythm of human and natural cycles. As dusk settles over these secluded settlements, the connection between history, culture, and mystery becomes more apparent. The same mountains and forests that inspired fear or reverence continue to influence village life, and the stories of spirits, guardians, and ancient travelers live on in subtle gestures and quiet observances. The listener is invited to absorb this continuity, to feel the interweaving of past and present, of seen and unseen. In this space, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the line between daily life and legend softens, creating a gentle, contemplative state ideal for sleep-friendly storytelling. By exploring these villages, we begin to understand how human presence shapes and preserves mystery. The forests and mountains may hold secrets, but it is within these communities that the subtle interplay between history and legend takes on tangible form. Elders, shamans, and storytellers become custodians of unseen realms, guiding others to honor the mysteries while remaining grounded in everyday life. This careful balance of attention and respect mirrors the larger patterns we have observed across Asia, reinforcing the idea that curiosity and calm coexist naturally when approached with care and reverence. Thus, as we leave the whispering woods and enter the quiet heart of Asia's secluded villages, we encounter a space where legends are living, breathing elements of human experience. Here, every gesture, every ritual, and every story carries weight and significance, teaching patience, respect, and a gentle curiosity about the unknown. It is in these villages, perched between forest and valley, past and present, fact and myth, that the narrative of Asia's most mysterious legends begins to feel alive and immediate, preparing the listener to ascend once more into tales of ancient empires, haunted palaces, and the ghosts of imperial past that await in the next section. As the quiet rhythm of village life begins to fade behind us, the landscape shifts once more, giving way to grand stone structures, palaces, and fortresses, silent witnesses to the power, ambition, and intrigue of Asia's imperial past. These ancient edifices, whether nestled among mist-covered mountains or standing proudly on fertile plains, hold the echoes of generations of rulers, warriors, and advisors. Even now, long after the bustling courts have fallen silent, one can sense the weight of history pressing gently against the walls, as if the stones themselves remember the whispers of conspiracies, celebrations, and secret counsel that unfolded within. To step into these spaces is to enter a realm where history and legend coexist, where every shadow may conceal both truth and mystery. In the sprawling palaces of India, such as those in Rajasthan or the Deccan region, halls of marble and sandstone tell stories of grandeur and intrigue. Courtyards once echoing with music and laughter now lie quiet, yet the legends persist. Tales of hidden chambers, secret tunnels, and treasures concealed from invaders add layers of intrigue to the already imposing architecture. Some stories speak of restless spirits of past rulers, wandering silently along corridors at night, their presence felt rather than seen. Visitors report an ineffable sensation, a subtle chill, a whisper in the air, a fleeting shadow that dissolves when noticed directly. These legends, gently recounted, do not startle, but instead invite reflection on the ephemeral nature of power and the persistence of memory. China offers its own complex tapestry of imperial mystery. The Forbidden City, once the seat of emperors who ruled with absolute authority, now stands as a labyrinth of silent halls, courtyards, and ornate chambers. Legends claim that certain rooms are protected by unseen forces, that intruders may find themselves disoriented or compelled to leave. Stories of emperors whose ambitions reached beyond mortal understanding are intertwined with tales of omens, curses, and prophetic visions. In the vast gardens and ceremonial halls, even the placement of a single stone or the curve of a roof can carry symbolic weight, revealing an interplay between the visible world and hidden meaning. Such stories underscore the subtle ways in which mystery permeates human history, offering lessons in both reverence and imagination. In Japan, castles and fortresses such as Himeji or Matsumoto carry their own silent histories. Built to withstand sieges and to display power, these structures now stand as quiet monuments to a time when strategy and superstition walked hand in hand. Local legends recount samurai spirits who patrol the grounds, seeking justice or protecting sacred spaces. Some visitors claim to have felt a presence, a quiet vigilance that seems to watch over the halls, yet never intrudes. In these tales, history is inseparable from legend, and the quiet tension between the two creates a hypnotic atmosphere, ideal for deep reflection and contemplation. Beyond these physical structures, the stories of vanished cities and lost dynasties add a further layer of mystery. Archaeological ruins scattered across Central and Southeast Asia hint at civilizations that flourished and disappeared, leaving behind fragments of temples, inscriptions, and everyday objects. These remnants evoke questions that remain unanswered. Why did these cities vanish? Were the rulers cursed, or did they fall to forces now forgotten? Folktales that accompany these sites speak of spirits lingering over abandoned walls, guardians of knowledge or punishment for hubris. Even as the historical record provides explanations, the legends add nuance, suggesting that some truths are beyond documentation, existing only in memory and story. The intersection of ambition, power, and mystery becomes particularly vivid in tales of treachery and betrayal. Ancient court intrigue is often recounted alongside ghost stories, reinforcing the sense that human actions leave impressions that endure beyond death. In many cases, ambitious rulers met unexpected or violent ends, and folklore suggests that their spirits remain tied to the locations of their demise. The careful interplay of historical fact and supernatural embellishment allows listeners to engage with both reality and imagination simultaneously. Courtiers' whispered secrets, soldiers' unseen footsteps, and the sudden creak of a long-abandoned door all serve to heighten curiosity without creating alarm, sustaining a calm, immersive experience. Some legends focus not on rulers themselves, but on objects of power. Jewels, ceremonial swords, and sacred relics are said to carry curses or protective energies, transferring the mystery from living beings to the inanimate. Tales of treasure hunters or servants who encountered inexplicable phenomena while handling such objects are common, adding a layer of suspense that blends naturally with historical context. The stories are told with a measured cadence, emphasizing wonder and intrigue rather than fear, reinforcing the meditative rhythm necessary for a sleep-friendly narrative. Even in less famous sites, the echoes of imperial ambition persist. Temples built under royal patronage often contain secret inscriptions, hidden chambers, or artifacts whose purpose is uncertain. In Southeast Asia, Angkorian ruins and scattered Khmer temples preserve mysteries in bas-reliefs, carvings, and structural anomalies. Scholars debate their meaning, while local legends offer more poetic interpretations. Spirits who protect sacred spaces, cryptic warnings etched for future generations, and unexplained phenomena reported by pilgrims. These intersections of history, art, and legend create a layered experience, inviting the mind to wander slowly through centuries of human endeavor and imagination. The ambience of these spaces contributes as much to their mystery as the stories themselves. The quiet shuffle of wind through empty courtyards, the faint rustle of leaves against stone walls, and the soft play of light and shadow across ornate facades create a hypnotic, immersive atmosphere. Listeners are drawn into a reflective state, feeling both the scale of human ambition and the subtle persistence of legend. Each ancient hall, each shadowed corridor, becomes a space where curiosity and calm coexist, a perfect environment for nighttime, listening, and contemplation. Even the smaller details, the placement of a window, the curve of a staircase, the alignment of a roof, often carry hidden meaning, reinforcing the sense that these structures were designed with intention beyond the visible. Symbols carved into wood or stone, inscriptions etched into walls, and ceremonial objects tucked away in forgotten corners all contribute to a narrative that bridges the seen and unseen. By observing these details, one begins to understand that the imperial past is not only preserved in grand events and battles, but also in subtle, quiet gestures that speak across centuries. As night descends over these palaces and fortresses, shadows lengthen and the spaces transform. Courtyards that once bustled with activity now seem to hold their breath, waiting for unseen visitors. Beyond the grand halls and fortified walls of empires, hidden among mountains, valleys, and overgrown forests, lie temples and shrines that time seems to have forgotten. These sacred spaces, often constructed centuries ago, are quiet witnesses to the devotion, creativity, and mystery of generations long past. Some are perched precariously on cliffs, accessible only by narrow, winding paths. Others are nestled deep in jungles or concealed beneath dense foliage. Each structure holds a story, a whisper of the spiritual or mystical significance it once embodied, as if the stones themselves carry memories waiting to be awakened. To wander through these forgotten temples is to step into a space where history, myth, and the unseen converge, inviting calm, reflection, and a gentle curiosity. In Cambodia, the ruins of Angkor Wat and the surrounding lesser-known temples stand as examples of both monumental achievement and lingering enigma. The towering spires, intricate carvings, and long, silent corridors evoke awe and reverence, while simultaneously raising questions about the civilizations that built them. Bas-reliefs depict gods, battles, and daily life, yet some symbols remain unexplained, as though intended to be understood only by those with secret knowledge. Locals tell stories of spirits who inhabit the temples, guiding or warning visitors who tread respectfully, and of hidden chambers whose purposes have been lost to time. These narratives highlight the delicate interplay between historical fact and legend, drawing the imagination gently into the past. In India, forgotten shrines are scattered throughout forests and valleys, many of them protected by local communities who maintain rituals passed down over generations. Some temples are dedicated to minor deities, their importance known only to those living nearby, while others were once centers of learning or pilgrimage. Vines climb the walls, roots crack stone floors, and moss blankets carvings, softening the edges of human craftsmanship with nature's quiet persistence. The air in these spaces feels different, heavier, yet still imbued with a sense of reverence that transcends centuries. As sunlight filters through broken ceilings or open courtyards, shadows shift slowly across sculpted faces and ancient inscriptions, creating a rhythm that is both meditative and mesmerizing. The Himalayan region offers another dimension to the mystery of hidden shrines. Cliffside monasteries and cave temples cling to rock faces, accessible only to those willing to make the arduous climb. The effort required to reach them reinforces their sacredness, while the isolation amplifies the feeling of encountering something beyond the ordinary. Monks who reside in these spaces speak of visions and guidance from unseen forces, and travelers often describe an ineffable presence, a calm awareness that seems to permeate every corner. These locations emphasize the intimate connection between human devotion, physical endurance, and a sense of mystery that surrounds sacred sites, drawing the listener into a slow, contemplative state. Southeast Asia, too, is dotted with hidden shrines that carry both historical and mystical significance. In Indonesia, small temples and ancestral altars lie concealed within rice paddies or dense jungle, their purposes known only to local villagers. Stories describe spirits who inhabit these shrines, appearing at twilight to guide travelers or protect the land. Some shrines are dedicated to protective deities, while others are sites where offerings are made to appease unseen forces. These spaces illustrate how human belief and legend shape the environment, creating a delicate balance between reverence and imagination. The gentle cadence of these tales encourages the listener to engage with mystery in a calm, reflective manner. The physical details of these temples and shrines contribute to their enigmatic quality. Carvings may depict creatures unknown to contemporary understanding. Inscriptions may be in scripts that have long fallen out of use, and structural anomalies suggest purposes that remain elusive. Even the orientation of doors, windows, and courtyards can carry symbolic meaning, hinting at cosmological knowledge or ritual practices lost to time. These subtle features invite a slow, careful observation, encouraging the mind to wander along the paths of history, legend, and spiritual significance. In this sense, the architecture itself becomes a storyteller, guiding the imagination without urgency or fear. Natural elements further enhance the sense of mystery in these sacred spaces. Rivers and streams often run through temple grounds, their waters considered purifying or protective. Forests and mountains surrounding the shrines create a barrier between the ordinary world and the sacred, and the interplay of light and shadow throughout the day gives each temple a changing, almost living quality. Animals that inhabit these areas, birds, monkeys, or elusive nocturnal creatures, add a subtle soundtrack to the environment, reinforcing the sense that life and legend coexist seamlessly. The listener is gently drawn into the space, experiencing both the beauty and quiet enigma of these sacred grounds. Legends associated with hidden shrines often combine historical events with mystical interpretation. Some describe rulers who commissioned temples to honor victories or deities, yet were later said to be haunted by spirits displeased with human ambition. Others recount devotees or travelers who encountered visions, received guidance, or discovered hidden knowledge while visiting these sacred sites. The blending of human history, architecture, and supernatural narrative allows the listener to engage with both fact and mystery simultaneously. Stories are presented with a calm cadence, emphasizing wonder and curiosity rather than tension, sustaining the meditative flow ideal for sleep-friendly storytelling. Even the smallest shrines, tucked into inconspicuous corners or hidden beneath trees, carry weight and significance. Pilgrims, locals, and sometimes scholars approach these sites with quiet reverence, performing rituals or making offerings that honor the unseen. Each act reinforces the continuity of belief, connecting the present to centuries of human experience. The shrines become living intersections of time, where past, present, and legend converge. This sense of continuity fosters a calm, immersive atmosphere, encouraging the listener to appreciate the subtle persistence of history and the quiet power of human imagination. As evening falls, the temples and shrines transform yet again. Shadows lengthen, lanterns may be lit, and the air cools, carrying a subtle stillness that feels almost sacred. Light plays across carved faces, walls, and courtyards, creating shifting patterns that suggest movement where none exists. In these moments, the legends feel most alive. Echoes of prayers, chants, and whispered stories seem to linger in the air. The listener is gently invited to contemplate the intersection of human devotion, natural beauty, and enduring mystery, entering a reflective state where curiosity and calm coexist harmoniously. Through these forgotten temples and hidden shrines, we see that mystery in Asia is not confined to distant mountains or dense forests. It is also present in spaces carefully cultivated for devotion, reflection, and spiritual practice. Each temple, whether grand or small, holds stories that encourage patience, respect, and quiet curiosity. The intertwining of history, architecture, and legend creates a rhythm that is both immersive and soothing, preparing the listener for the next step in our journey. The mysterious creatures, mythical beasts, and silent hunters that roam these lands, blending the natural and supernatural in ways that continue to captivate the imagination. Beyond temples, shrines, and the quiet villages, Asia's landscapes conceal another layer of mystery. Creatures that exist on the edge of reality and legend, silent hunters, and mythical beings whose presence is felt more than seen. These stories have been passed down for centuries, whispered around fires, recounted in folklore, and recorded in ancient texts, yet many remain unexplained. From dense jungles to frozen steppes, from mist-shrouded mountains to hidden rivers, these beings inhabit spaces where the natural and supernatural overlap. They are not always malevolent. Sometimes they are guardians, other times enigmatic observers, moving unseen through the world, shaping lives, legends, and the imagination of those who dwell nearby. In the Himalayas, the elusive Yeti is perhaps the most famous of these legendary creatures. Referred to in local folklore as the abominable snowman, the Yeti is said to roam the highest peaks, leaving enormous footprints in the snow and vanishing into mist before it can be fully observed. Sherpas recount encounters with strange tracks, fleeting glimpses of immense shapes, or eerie howls echoing through valleys. Some say the Yeti is a spiritual guardian of the mountains, while others describe it as a remnant of a species unknown to science. Regardless of interpretation, the stories emphasize a connection between humans and the wild, a reminder that even in remote landscapes, life continues in forms both visible and unseen. In Japan, legends of the kappa, a water-dwelling creature, have persisted for centuries. These beings are described as small, amphibious, and mischievous, inhabiting rivers, ponds, and rice paddies. While often portrayed as tricksters, kappa are also considered teachers of respect, reminding humans to honor water sources and live in harmony with nature. Villagers recount how crops flourished when kappa were pleased and how strange misfortunes befell those who disrespected local waterways. These tales illustrate how myth and morality intertwine, creating stories that both entertain and instruct, subtly blending the ordinary and the mysterious. Southeast Asian jungles are home to equally enigmatic creatures. In Indonesia and Malaysia, folklore speaks of harimau jadian, tigers that can transform into humans or possess supernatural intelligence. Travelers and villagers alike tell stories of encounters where the tiger appears unexpectedly, behaving with eerie understanding or vanishing into shadows when approached. The stories serve as reminders of the deep interconnection between humans and the wilderness, emphasizing caution, respect, and the acceptance of forces beyond immediate comprehension. By approaching these legends gently, the listener experiences a calm curiosity, imagining these silent hunters moving through the forests while remaining removed from danger. In the remote Siberian taiga, local tribes recount encounters with snow leopards and other elusive predators in ways that transform ordinary animals into almost mythical presences. A sudden rustle in the undergrowth, the fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure, or the echo of a distant call can evoke stories of spirits or guardians of the forest. These accounts highlight the thin line between natural observation and the imagination's interpretation, showing that mystery often resides where human understanding reaches its limits. By narrating such encounters slowly and calmly, the tension remains subtle, reinforcing both curiosity and relaxation for the listener. Legends also abound in the rivers and coastal regions of Asia. In China, tales of river dragons and water spirits have persisted for millennia. Often invisible, these beings are said to protect communities, influence weather, or guard hidden treasures beneath the water. Villagers recount strange ripples, unexplained floods, or mysterious lights on the water as signs of these presences. Similarly, in India, stories of nagas, serpent-like beings inhabiting rivers and lakes, blend historical religious symbolism with folkloric accounts, offering lessons in reverence, caution, and respect for natural elements. These stories encourage a mindset of attentive observation, a gentle awareness of the unseen that harmonizes with the meditative tone of sleep-friendly storytelling. Even in modern times, reports of mysterious sightings persist. Explorers, hikers, and researchers sometimes describe encounters that defy conventional explanation. Strange tracks, fleeting glimpses of large animals, or unexplained sounds echoing through forests and mountains. While scientific explanations often follow, the stories themselves endure, forming a bridge between past and present, between myth and reality. This continuity demonstrates that the allure of the unknown remains constant, inviting the imagination to wander, reflect, and relax without urgency or fear. The presence of mythical creatures is not always tied to danger. Many legends describe beings as guardians or protectors. In the forests of Japan, the Kodama, tree spirits, are believed to inhabit ancient trees, bringing fortune or misfortune depending on human treatment of the forest. In Indonesia, spirits known as penanggalan are sometimes feared for their malevolent traits. Yet even these legends teach lessons about vigilance, morality, and the unseen connections that bind communities to the land. By presenting these stories calmly, with poetic pacing, the listener is guided into a reflective state, absorbing the mysteries without experiencing alarm. The natural environment contributes to the sense of presence in subtle ways. Fog drifting through valleys, the shifting light of dawn, or the quiet rustle of leaves can all be interpreted as manifestations of unseen beings. Streams and rivers, steep cliffs, and dense undergrowth provide habitats for both real and imagined creatures, blending the boundaries of perception. Observing or imagining these subtle movements encourages mindfulness and immersion, fostering a meditative experience that aligns with the sleep-friendly style. Stories of mythical beasts often overlap with human morality and caution. Many creatures are described as appearing when rules are broken, natural laws are ignored, or disrespect is shown to sacred places. Beyond the quiet forests, remote villages, and the elusive presence of mythical beasts, there exist practices that bind humans to the unseen, enigmatic rituals and secret ceremonies. These traditions, often conducted away from the public eye, preserve knowledge and spiritual wisdom that has passed through countless generations. Some are connected to the cycles of the seasons, others to the worship of deities, ancestors, or natural forces, and yet others to the pursuit of personal enlightenment. In each case, the ritual space becomes a bridge between the visible world and hidden realms, offering participants, and even those who hear of them later, a glimpse into a realm beyond ordinary perception. The slow, deliberate nature of these ceremonies invites reflection and wonder, allowing stories to unfold in a calming, meditative rhythm. In Japan, Shinto and esoteric Buddhist ceremonies often take place at night or in secluded temples, where lanterns flicker softly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Priests and monks perform rituals with precise movements, chanting quietly in a manner that resonates through halls and courtyards. These ceremonies are sometimes intended to honor kami, spirits inhabiting natural elements such as trees, rivers, or mountains. Folklore suggests that certain rituals must remain hidden to maintain their power, and only those initiated into the practice can fully comprehend their purpose. To witness such a ritual, even in imagination, is to sense the delicate balance between devotion, tradition, and mystery. In India, secret ceremonies in temples or village shrines often preserve ancient Vedic traditions, blending music, movement, and recitation with intricate symbolism. Offerings of flowers, rice, and incense are made with precise intention, while the surrounding environment, the sway of trees, the whisper of wind, or the gentle lapping of water, becomes part of the ritual itself. Some ceremonies mark the transition of life stages, the passage of seasons, or attempts to communicate with deities or ancestors. Legends tell of participants experiencing visions, subtle signs, or unexpected guidance, reinforcing the idea that these rituals are spaces where the ordinary and the extraordinary intersect. In Southeast Asia, hidden ceremonies are often performed in dense forests or along riverbanks, spaces that themselves carry spiritual significance. In Bali, for example, certain purification rituals or trance ceremonies are conducted quietly, with participants entering states of deep contemplation or meditation. Villagers believe that these acts maintain harmony between humans, nature, and unseen forces. The secrecy surrounding some of these practices ensures that the rituals retain their potency, and the resulting stories emphasize respect for tradition, the environment, and the delicate equilibrium between seen and unseen worlds. Many of these enigmatic rituals are tied to festivals, but not all. Some are intimate, performed by individuals or small groups to honor personal pacts, ancestral guidance, or hidden wisdom. In some Japanese villages, locals light small fires at night in honor of spirits that protect the land. In the highlands of Tibet, monks engage in silent meditation, walking labyrinthine paths or chanting in caves thought to amplify spiritual energy. In Indonesia, shamans perform ceremonies to appease forest or river spirits, sometimes involving symbolic gestures, music, or herbal rituals. Each act is carefully choreographed, emphasizing intention and respect, blending human presence seamlessly with natural and supernatural forces. The physical environment of these rituals often enhances their mystery. Candlelight flickers against carved stone walls, rivers reflect lanterns, and shadows move unpredictably among trees or temple halls. Sounds that are ordinary, footsteps, chanting, wind, and leaves, take on heightened significance, reinforcing the sense of a world alive with unseen forces. Even the scent of incense or flowers can evoke memory, emotion, and a sense of quiet awe. By emphasizing sensory details, these stories immerse the listener, gently drawing attention to the rhythm of the ceremony and the lingering presence of history and legend. Local folklore often adds layers of narrative to these rituals. In some regions, legends suggest that improper participation can bring misfortune or that certain gestures must be performed precisely to honor the spirits correctly. In others, stories speak of moments when rituals unexpectedly reveal hidden knowledge or guidance. Such tales create a dual sense of reverence and curiosity, highlighting the intimate connection between human intention and the subtle forces at play. By presenting these narratives with a calm, unhurried pace, the listener experiences wonder without alarm, ideal for a sleep-friendly, immersive experience. Historical context enriches these practices further. Many secret ceremonies have roots in ancient dynasties, long-forgotten kingdoms, or migratory communities. In some cases, rituals preserve knowledge of astronomy, agricultural cycles, or spiritual practices that predate written records. By connecting the rituals to historical events or traditions, the listener gains a sense of continuity, understanding that the unseen and the mysterious are woven into the fabric of human existence. This awareness fosters a gentle curiosity, encouraging reflection on the delicate interplay of human endeavor, belief, and the unknown. Even the smallest gestures in these ceremonies carry meaning. The precise arrangement of objects, the rhythm of chanting, or the direction of a movement often conveys layers of significance. Local practitioners may consider some gestures so sacred that they cannot be explained openly, leaving their interpretation to intuition or imagination. This selective concealment adds a layer of mystery, allowing stories to linger in the mind, slowly unfolding as the listener contemplates their significance. The rhythm of these unfolding stories mirrors the rhythm of breathing, movement, and ritual itself, reinforcing a calm, immersive experience. In remote corners of Asia, these secret ceremonies continue to influence daily life. Villagers may plan their schedules around ritual observances. Travelers may witness fleeting glimpses of preparation or conclusion, and the natural environment itself may respond. Mist rising over a temple courtyard at dawn, lanterns flickering as a breeze passes, or water reflecting patterns of shadow and light. These subtle interactions between humans, environment, and unseen forces maintain the sense that mystery is not confined to legend, but is active and enduring. Through these enigmatic rituals and secret ceremonies, one realizes that Asia's mysteries are not only embedded in landscapes, creatures, or ancient architecture. They are also alive in human practice, preserved in deliberate, meaningful action across centuries. By participating, observing, or even imagining these ceremonies, the listener enters a state of attentive calm, where curiosity and serenity coexist. The unfolding stories guide the mind gently through a rhythm of history, devotion, and legend, maintaining engagement without urgency and preparing for the next chapter of our journey into Asia's most arcane traditions. Thus, as night deepens, the listener can envision lantern-lit courtyards, murmured chants, and carefully arranged offerings, sensing the invisible threads that connect humans to spirits, mountains, rivers, and forests. The ceremonies, whether grand or intimate, whisper of continuity, reverence, and the subtle presence of the unknown. The experience is one of calm immersion, a slow descent into reflection and wonder, paving the way for the next section, exploring mysterious texts, cryptic inscriptions, and ancient scrolls where forgotten knowledge and secrets of the past continue to linger quietly, waiting to be rediscovered. Hidden within temples, monasteries, and the quiet corners of ancient cities lie fragments of written history, texts, inscriptions, and scrolls that carry secrets, wisdom, and stories long forgotten. These artifacts are more than records. They are portals into a world where human curiosity, imagination, and devotion intersect. Often obscured by time, weather, or neglect, these writings invite careful observation and contemplation. Some are etched in stone, enduring through centuries. Others are fragile manuscripts, ink fading, pages brittle to the touch. Each preserves a rhythm of thought, a glimpse of understanding, and sometimes a lingering enigma that has resisted translation or interpretation. In the temples of India, inscriptions on stone walls recount tales of rulers, battles, and divine intervention. Carvings in Sanskrit or regional scripts preserve details of ceremonies, dedications, and local myths. Some inscriptions describe offerings to gods, or elaborate rituals designed to maintain cosmic balance, blending practical instruction with spiritual guidance. Over time, the precise meaning of certain passages has been lost, leaving room for speculation and legend. Scholars pore over these texts, yet often it is the imagination of those who encounter them, travelers, villagers, or meditators, that breathes life into the words. In the quiet presence of these inscriptions, the mind is invited to wander slowly, tracing the intersection of history, faith, and mystery. In East Asia, ancient scrolls and manuscripts offer another layer of intrigue. Chinese texts record astronomical observations, philosophical reflections, and moral parables alongside historical events. Some are bound in fragile silk, others on paper worn thin by centuries of handling. Confucian, Taoist, and Buddhist writings often blend practical advice with allegory, leaving meanings that shift with interpretation. Hidden in libraries, temples, and private collections, these scrolls preserve knowledge meant for attentive eyes and reflective minds. The process of reading them, even in imagination, is contemplative. Each character, each stroke, a quiet testament to the enduring human desire to understand the world and the unseen forces that shape it. In Japan, ancient calligraphy and esoteric texts preserve mystical teachings, ritual instructions, and folklore that resist literal translation. Manuscripts often contain symbolic imagery, diagrams of cosmic principles, and poetic descriptions of natural phenomena tied to spiritual insight. Monks and scholars historically treated these texts with great care, emphasizing reverence for their contents and discretion in their interpretation. Many of these writings reference hidden knowledge, spiritual guardians, or teachings meant to deepen understanding of the natural and supernatural worlds. The slow, deliberate unfolding of these texts mirrors the meditative rhythm of ritual, drawing the listener into a calm, immersive engagement with history and mystery. Southeast Asia also holds a wealth of cryptic inscriptions, often found in temples, on stone stelae, or carved into wooden structures. Khmer and Javanese inscriptions recount royal decrees, religious dedications, and allegorical tales that intertwine historical fact with spiritual teaching. The precise meaning of some symbols remains uncertain, leaving room for speculation and imagination. Folklore surrounding these inscriptions often suggests that certain messages were intended only for the initiated, adding an air of secrecy that heightens their mystique. Observing these texts, whether in reality or imagination, encourages patience, reflection, and a gentle curiosity, perfectly suited to a sleep-friendly narrative. Even mundane objects can carry cryptic inscriptions or markings. Ancient coins, pottery, and ritual artifacts often contain symbols whose purpose or meaning is debated. These small traces of human creativity and belief connect the tangible with the intangible, reminding the observer that mystery can reside in the smallest details. The process of noticing, contemplating, and imagining the story behind each mark engages the mind slowly and deliberately, cultivating a reflective state that is both immersive and calming. The human mind is naturally drawn to patterns, and cryptic inscriptions often exploit this instinct. Ambiguous symbols, unusual arrangements of text, or combinations of pictographs and letters invite interpretation. Some texts are deliberately obscure, intended to be deciphered only by those trained in certain schools of knowledge. Others have simply become enigmatic over time, lost in translation or obscured by centuries of change. In all cases, the act of observing and reflecting on these writings allows the listener to enter a world where curiosity thrives gently, without urgency or alarm. Historical context enhances the allure of these texts. Some manuscripts were composed during periods of great upheaval or transformation, recording events that shaped entire regions. Others preserve philosophical or mystical thought that offers insight into the worldview of people long gone. The layering of history, culture, and legend in these writings creates a rich tapestry that encourages the mind to explore connections, contemplate hidden meanings, and imagine the lives of those who produced them. This slow, contemplative engagement with the past fosters a meditative state, aligning perfectly with the sleep-friendly, immersive style of storytelling. Some inscriptions carry warnings or moral guidance, while others hint at lost treasures, secret passageways, or mystical powers. These elements bridge history and legend, fact and imagination, encouraging listeners to consider what lies beyond the immediate and observable. The stories associated with cryptic texts often emphasize patience, humility, and respect for knowledge, suggesting that understanding requires careful attention and reflection. By presenting these narratives calmly, the listener experiences wonder without anxiety, cultivating curiosity and mental relaxation simultaneously. Even in cases where the precise meaning remains elusive, the presence of these texts evokes a sense of continuity. Scholars, monks, and villagers have interacted with these writings for centuries, each generation adding interpretation, reverence, or anecdote. The text becomes a living artifact, its story extending beyond the words themselves. In imagining these interactions, the listener feels connected to a lineage of observers who have engaged with mystery slowly and thoughtfully, reinforcing a sense of calm curiosity and immersive reflection. Natural surroundings often accentuate the aura of these inscriptions. Sunlight filtering through temple windows, moss growing along stone carvings, or the sound of wind rustling nearby leaves adds texture to the experience. These sensory elements merge with the symbolic and historical significance of the texts, enhancing their presence in a gentle, meditative manner. Observing or imagining such moments encourages a rhythm of attention and relaxation, guiding the listener toward quiet contemplation of the unknown. Through ancient texts, cryptic inscriptions, and forgotten manuscripts, the listener begins to perceive another dimension of Asia's mysteries. Knowledge, history, and legend converge, creating a space where imagination and reflection intertwine. These artifacts demonstrate that human curiosity and devotion leave traces that endure, encouraging exploration of both tangible and intangible worlds. By engaging with them slowly, we cultivate a meditative awareness, appreciating the subtle interplay between past and present, visible and hidden, fact and mystery. Thus, as we leave the quiet presence of temples, shrines, and manuscripts, the listener carries with them a sense of history alive with enigma. The written word, whether carved in stone or inscribed on fragile paper, serves as a bridge to forgotten knowledge and lost wisdom, hinting at stories and secrets that endure quietly through time. These lingering echoes guide us gently toward the next chapter, where sacred landscapes, mystical guardians, and the hidden interplay of nature and legend continue to unfold, inviting both curiosity and calm in equal measure. Beyond the inscriptions and ancient manuscripts, the landscapes themselves hold a sacred, almost sentient presence, a quiet guardianship that has been recognized and revered for centuries. Mountains, rivers, forests, and valleys across Asia are more than mere physical spaces. They are living participants in the stories, rituals, and legends that have shaped human experience. In these sacred landscapes, the natural world and the mystical realm blend seamlessly, creating spaces where humans can feel both awe and peace, mystery and understanding. From the snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas to the dense tropical forests of Southeast Asia, these landscapes are imbued with an enduring sense of guardianship, as though unseen forces watch over the living and the land itself. In Tibet, mountains are more than geological formations. They are spiritual entities. Peaks such as Mount Kailash are considered sacred, drawing pilgrims who undertake arduous journeys to circumambulate them, believing that these landscapes are the abodes of deities or enlightened spirits. The act of moving slowly through these sacred terrains mirrors the rhythm of meditation, fostering a contemplative state that encourages reflection on both the grandeur of nature and the subtleties of spiritual awareness. Local legends speak of protective spirits that inhabit the cliffs, ridges, and valleys, appearing as sudden mists, shifting shadows, or unexplained sounds in the wind. These stories are neither frightening nor sensationalized. They invite gentle curiosity and reverent attention. Japan offers another example of landscapes imbued with guardianship. Sacred forests surrounding Shinto shrines, such as the ancient woods of Ayase or Kiso, are considered dwellings of kami, spirits who watch over the trees, streams, and rocks. These forests are carefully preserved, their pathways winding through centuries-old trees whose presence is felt as much as observed. Moss-covered stones, trickling streams, and the quiet hum of nature create an immersive atmosphere that encourages mindfulness and meditation. Folktales describe encounters with kami as fleeting and subtle, a rustle of leaves, a glimmer of light, or a whisper in the wind. These stories emphasize respect for the natural world and highlight the coexistence of the ordinary with the mystical. In India, rivers such as the Ganges, Yamuna, and Brahmaputra are not merely sources of water, but sacred entities themselves. Villagers, pilgrims, and travelers regard them as living guardians, capable of both nurturing and testing humanity. Legends recount appearances of river spirits, miraculous events, and moral lessons intertwined with the water's ebb and flow. The act of performing rituals along the riverbanks, or simply observing the movement of water, becomes a contemplative practice, connecting humans with the rhythm of the landscape and the unseen forces that inhabit it. This intimate relationship between people and place is central to understanding the concept of sacred guardianship in Asia. Southeast Asia is equally rich with sacred landscapes. In Indonesia, mountains, volcanic craters, and jungle groves often serve as sites of rituals and offerings. Villagers and shamans believe that these spaces are home to spirits who protect crops, guide travelers, and maintain cosmic balance. In Thailand and Laos, dense forests are imbued with stories of protective entities, from benevolent forest spirits to enigmatic guardians of hidden treasures. Each location is treated with reverence, and the act of navigating or honoring these spaces is as much a spiritual practice as a physical one. By imagining these landscapes and their guardians, the listener experiences a slow, immersive sense of wonder and tranquility. The guardians themselves take many forms. Some are animal spirits, such as tigers, serpents, or birds, that are said to move between the human and spiritual worlds. Others are more abstract, manifesting as a presence felt in the rustle of leaves, the play of shadows, or the shifting mists over a valley. Certain mountains are believed to be inhabited by powerful deities, while specific trees or stones may house ancestral spirits. These guardians are often tied to local rituals and folklore, guiding behavior, offering protection, or maintaining balance. The stories surrounding them are shared quietly, recounted as lessons in respect, humility, and attentiveness. The interaction between humans and these sacred landscapes often reinforces the rhythm of daily life. Villagers may adjust activities according to seasons, tides, or local beliefs about spiritual presence. Pilgrims follow prescribed paths through mountains or along rivers, performing rituals at precise locations where the veil between visible and invisible is considered thin. Travelers and explorers often describe a sense of being observed, a subtle awareness that the land itself is alive. These experiences are rarely alarming. Instead, they inspire a calm attentiveness and a deepened appreciation for the interconnectedness of all living and unseen things. Architectural elements within sacred landscapes also play a role in amplifying their mystical presence. Temples, shrines, and stone markers are often carefully integrated into natural surroundings, respecting the contours of mountains, the course of rivers, or the arrangement of trees. In some cases, stairways ascend to cliff-top sanctuaries, guiding pilgrims through a journey that is both physical and symbolic. Courtyards, pathways, and platforms align with celestial events, emphasizing the connection between cosmic rhythm and the guardianship of the landscape. The careful design fosters a sense of order, reverence, and wonder, reinforcing the interplay of nature, history, and spirituality. The natural environment itself enhances the perception of guardianship. Mist rolling over valleys, the gentle murmur of streams, or the distant call of wildlife can all be interpreted as signs of unseen presence. The play of light and shadow, especially at dawn or dusk, animates stone carvings, temple walls, and forest floors, giving the impression of movement where none exists. As we traverse the sacred landscapes and encounter their vigilant guardians, our journey leads naturally to hidden treasures and lost relics, artifacts that have survived the passage of centuries, yet remain shrouded in mystery. These objects, whether gilded, carved, or enshrined in simplicity, are more than material possessions. They're vessels of history, memory, and human ingenuity. Many are hidden deliberately, concealed from invaders, thieves, or casual observers, while others have simply become lost over time, swallowed by forests, buried beneath sand, or submerged in rivers. Each relic carries a story, a fragment of human civilization entwined with legend, and a quiet invitation for the mind to imagine, ponder, and reflect. In India, temples and fortresses hold countless relics, from sacred idols and ceremonial jewelry to manuscripts written on palm leaves. Some were commissioned by emperors or wealthy patrons as offerings to gods, while others were buried in secret caches to protect them from raiders or invaders. Stories describe devotees discovering these treasures unexpectedly, often guided by subtle signs or through dreams that seem to reveal their location. The act of imagining such discoveries encourages a gentle curiosity, allowing the mind to wander through centuries of devotion, artistry, and mystery without haste or alarm. Southeast Asia also harbors relics hidden within dense jungles or buried beneath temple ruins. Angkorian ruins, for example, contain sculptures, inscriptions, and ceremonial objects whose full significance has yet to be understood. Folktales suggest that some artifacts are guarded by spirits or supernatural forces, ensuring that only the respectful and perceptive can encounter them. The blending of history and legend in these stories heightens the sense of wonder, encouraging the listener to slow down and absorb each detail, each whispered narrative, as part of a broader tapestry of human imagination and devotion. In China, ancient tombs and burial sites contain relics of dynasties past, jade ornaments, ceremonial vessels, and intricately painted scrolls, each revealing glimpses into lives long gone. Legends often accompany these finds, telling of curses that protect tombs, guardians who watch over sacred objects, or miraculous signs that indicate the right moment to uncover a hidden treasure. The precision and reverence with which these artifacts were created and concealed reflect both the ingenuity and the spiritual beliefs of the people, underscoring a delicate interplay between the tangible and intangible, the known and the unknown. Japan offers similarly intriguing examples. Samurai swords, ceremonial masks, and temple relics sometimes disappear from historical records, only to be rediscovered centuries later. Stories describe monks or travelers encountering these objects in unexpected places, often accompanied by signs of spiritual significance. A flicker of light, a sudden gust of wind, or a subtle feeling of being observed. The combination of craftsmanship, spiritual reverence, and the enigmatic circumstances of discovery creates an atmosphere that is both captivating and soothing, aligning perfectly with the sleep-friendly tone of storytelling. Many hidden treasures are tied to natural features, caves, rivers, mountains, or groves, further intertwining human ingenuity with a mystical environment. Relics may be concealed in cliffside niches, beneath riverbeds, or deep within forests, and local legends often speak of protective spirits or guardian animals. In some cases, maps or inscriptions provide subtle hints, yet the full meaning remains elusive, leaving room for imagination and reflection. The slow, deliberate contemplation of these hidden objects invites the listener to engage with both history and legend, fostering a sense of calm wonder. Lost relics, often carry an aura of both historical significance and mystical power. In Tibet, for example, small statues, ritual implements, and manuscripts are said to hold spiritual energy, guiding or protecting those who approach them respectfully. Similarly, in India and Southeast Asia, certain objects are believed to bestow blessings or insight, though only to those who approach them with reverence. These beliefs, whether interpreted literally or metaphorically, underscore the idea that human intention and care can shape not only the preservation of objects, but also the perception of mystery surrounding them. The discovery of hidden treasures is rarely instantaneous. Stories emphasize patience, observation, and respect. Tales describe travelers following subtle clues, patterns in nature, inscriptions, or oral guidance from local elders that lead to long-forgotten artifacts. In some cases, the objects are encountered in moments of quiet reflection, when attention is focused yet relaxed. These narratives cultivate a meditative approach to curiosity, demonstrating that the unfolding of mystery is as valuable as the revelation itself. Some relics are accompanied by enigmatic inscriptions or carvings, further blending the tangible and intangible. Ancient coins, ceremonial vessels, or amulets may carry symbols whose meaning has been lost over time, inviting speculation and imagination. These objects become a bridge between human history and the realm of legend, allowing the listener to explore both with gentle intrigue. The stories surrounding them emphasize continuity, reverence, and the enduring human fascination with the unknown. Even modern discoveries maintain a quiet sense of wonder. Archaeologists often uncover artifacts that challenge previous understandings, suggesting new interpretations of history, belief, or culture. Local folklore sometimes adapts to these findings, weaving them into existing narratives and ensuring that mystery continues to thrive. By experiencing these accounts slowly and meditatively, the listener can appreciate both the factual and fantastical elements, maintaining a sense of calm curiosity throughout the narrative. Hidden treasures are not only physical objects. They are symbolic markers of human ambition, creativity, and devotion. Beyond hidden treasures and relics lies a subtler, more intangible layer of Asia's mysteries: lost knowledge and esoteric practices. These are teachings, skills, and philosophies carefully preserved by select communities, monks, and scholars, yet often kept hidden from the casual observer. Some are spiritual in nature, guiding meditation, ritual, or the pursuit of enlightenment. Others involve practical knowledge, astronomy, medicine, martial arts, or agriculture, intertwined with symbolic or mystical principles. The allure of this lost knowledge is not in spectacle, but in its quiet depth, inviting patience, reflection, and a contemplative mind. Each practice, each fragment of wisdom, forms a bridge between history, human creativity, and the unseen world. In Tibet, esoteric Buddhist practices illustrate this beautifully. Certain lineages maintain teachings that have been transmitted orally for centuries, accessible only to initiated monks or dedicated practitioners. Rituals, chants, and meditations are performed with precise intention, often in secluded monasteries perched atop cliffs or hidden valleys. These practices are designed to cultivate awareness, harmony, and spiritual insight, emphasizing a gradual unfolding of understanding. The secrecy surrounding them preserves their potency and encourages a disciplined engagement with the mystical, ensuring that knowledge is experienced rather than merely observed or recorded. In India, the preservation of lost knowledge takes many forms. Ancient texts, some inscribed on palm leaves, others recorded in oral tradition, contain detailed accounts of medicinal herbs, astronomy, astrology, and philosophical principles. Certain yogic or tantra practices are similarly esoteric, intended to refine the mind, body, and spirit. These traditions often blend observation of the natural world with symbolic interpretation, creating a rhythm of learning and contemplation that spans generations. Folktales accompanying these practices speak of disciples receiving visions, signs, or guidance as they engage deeply with the teachings, reinforcing a calm, meditative pace of learning. Southeast Asia also retains layers of hidden wisdom. In Indonesia, shamans, or dukuan, possess knowledge of herbal remedies, spiritual protection, and ritual techniques passed down through centuries. Some practices are intentionally concealed, known only to trusted apprentices or local families. In Cambodia and Laos, similar traditions exist where ceremonial knowledge, agricultural timing, and protective rituals are closely guarded. These esoteric practices, while subtle and often invisible to outsiders, form a network of human connection to both the natural and spiritual realms, emphasizing respect, observation, and the gentle unfolding of insight. Japan provides yet another dimension of esoteric knowledge. Certain Shujendo and Onmyoto practices involve meditation, movement, and interaction with natural forces, blending physical discipline with spiritual awareness. These teachings are often transmitted in secluded mountain areas or temple precincts, and practitioners emphasize attunement to rhythm, energy, and subtle perception. Observing these practices, even imaginatively, offers a glimpse into a world where intention, discipline, and awareness coalesce, encouraging a calm, reflective engagement with mystery. The allure of lost knowledge is amplified by its rarity and subtlety. Unlike overt displays of power or spectacle, esoteric practices require time, patience, and attentive observation. They are often performed in quiet spaces, monasteries, forests, caves, or secluded riverbanks, where every movement, breath, and sound contributes to the overall effect. Even simple gestures, chants, or meditative postures carry layers of meaning, reflecting a connection between human intention and the unseen forces of the world. This careful, deliberate rhythm aligns perfectly with a sleep-friendly storytelling style, guiding the listener into calm contemplation. Historical context further enriches the mystery of lost knowledge. Many practices and teachings emerged during periods of cultural flourishing, spiritual exploration, or societal upheaval. Dynasties, kingdoms, and empires fostered centers of learning. Yet some knowledge remained deliberately hidden to preserve its potency or protect it from misuse. The interplay of secrecy, reverence, and wisdom creates a tapestry in which history, human intention, and the unknown intertwine. Imagining these practices allows the listener to trace the contours of time and culture, following patterns of preservation and insight across centuries. Lost knowledge often intersects with human curiosity and imagination. Stories describe apprentices or travelers who glimpsed secret teachings, sometimes in dreams, visions, or subtle signs. In some cases, the knowledge revealed itself gradually, requiring careful attention and reflection. These narratives reinforce the meditative pace of discovery, emphasizing that the value lies not in instant understanding, but in the ongoing, immersive process of learning. The listener is gently guided through these mysteries, encouraged to absorb the rhythm, symbolism, and subtlety embedded in each practice. Even natural phenomena play a role in esoteric practices. Observing the stars, the cycles of the moon, the movement of rivers, or the changing seasons often informs timing, ritual, or spiritual insight. In many traditions, nature is not merely a backdrop, but a participant, a teacher, and a guide. The subtle interplay between human intention and environmental observation fosters attentiveness and patience, qualities essential to both meditation and the immersive experience of mystery. By integrating these sensory and cognitive elements, the listener is invited to explore hidden wisdom in a calm, reflective, and sleep-friendly manner. Some esoteric practices also involve symbolism, allegory, or encoded knowledge. Certain texts, inscriptions, or ritual implements are intentionally obscure, requiring interpretation, intuition, or guidance from master. These layers of meaning create depth and continuity, preserving knowledge across generations while maintaining an element of wonder. The listener, by imagining the careful attention required to decode or understand such teachings, engages with history, human ingenuity, and the unknown in a measured, immersive way, perfectly aligned with the calm pacing necessary for sleep-friendly storytelling. Esoteric practices often emphasize moral or philosophical lessons alongside technical skill. Stories of ethical behavior, patience, compassion, and respect for natural and spiritual forces are woven into these teachings. By experiencing these lessons in a slow, narrative form, the listener absorbs wisdom without urgency or tension. This reflective engagement reinforces a sense of calm curiosity, allowing the mind to wander through ancient landscapes of thought, practice, and belief. Ultimately, lost knowledge and esoteric practices reveal that mystery in Asia is not confined to physical artifacts or mythical creatures. It resides in the subtle, carefully preserved threads of human thought, discipline, and devotion. As we move beyond lost knowledge and esoteric practices, the path leads us into the realm of extraordinary tales and legendary events. These stories, passed down through generations, straddle the line between history and myth, inviting the imagination to wander gently through time and space. Unlike secret rituals or hidden treasures, these tales often recount moments when the extraordinary touched the everyday. A sudden appearance, a miraculous survival, or an inexplicable phenomenon that defied conventional explanation. Told slowly, with attention to atmosphere and detail, they guide the listener into a meditative state, allowing curiosity and calm to coexist. In Japan, legends abound of miraculous encounters that leave an indelible mark on local consciousness. Stories of samurai witnessing ethereal lights on misty battlefields, or villagers glimpsing ghostly figures in bamboo groves, illustrate the quiet intersection of human experience and the unknown. Some events are tied to celestial phenomena, comets, eclipses, or unusual alignments that inspire awe and wonder. The slow unfolding of these narratives emphasizes the mystery itself rather than immediate action, inviting the listener to absorb every detail of landscape, sound, and sensation as part of the story. In India, extraordinary events often occur at the intersection of the spiritual and natural worlds. Accounts describe sages or travelers encountering miraculous healings, visions, or protective interventions by divine figures. Rivers rising unexpectedly, forests parting to reveal hidden pathways, or animals acting in inexplicable ways are woven into these narratives, creating a sense that the ordinary world is interlaced with unseen forces. Local folklore frames these events with subtle moral or spiritual guidance, suggesting that patience, respect, and attentiveness reveal the extraordinary in everyday life. Southeast Asia is equally rich with legendary events that blend fact, imagination, and symbolism. In Cambodia, stories tell of kings or warriors experiencing omens in the form of sudden storms, animals behaving unusually, or mysterious lights over temples and battlefields. In Indonesia, travelers recount instances where sacred groves or volcanic slopes seem to shift, revealing paths or objects previously unseen. These events are often interpreted as the actions of guardian spirits or as signs from ancestors, bridging human experience with the mystical fabric of the land. The rhythm of these stories is deliberate, allowing the listener to drift gently into contemplation, imagining the moment without haste or distraction. China's historical records and local legends provide further examples. Ancient chronicles describe sudden, unexplained phenomena, such as falling stars, unseasonal floods, or the spontaneous appearance of animals in sacred spaces. In folklore, these events often coincide with shifts in leadership, moral reckoning, or the presence of spiritual figures. By blending historical fact with interpretive storytelling, these accounts create a rhythm of wonder and reflection. Observing these tales slowly allows the listener to engage with layers of meaning, appreciating the delicate interplay between natural phenomena, human perception, and myth. The appeal of extraordinary tales often lies in their subtlety. Unlike dramatic narratives that rely on action or conflict, these stories emphasize atmosphere, sensory detail, and the quiet tension of the unknown. A shadow moving across a forest glade, the distant sound of wind through mountain passes, or the flicker of light over a river can all become signs of extraordinary occurrences. By focusing on these small, evocative moments, the listener is invited into a reflective experience where imagination and calm curiosity coexist. Many legendary events also carry moral or spiritual lessons. In Japan, tales of ghosts, spirits, or celestial beings often emphasize ethical conduct, reverence for ancestors, or harmony with nature. In India and Southeast Asia, miraculous events frequently reinforce principles of compassion, patience, and mindfulness. These lessons are subtle, embedded in narrative rather than explicitly stated, allowing the listener to absorb their essence gradually. The pace encourages contemplation, fostering a sense of quiet wonder rather than urgency or tension. Extraordinary tales are also linked to specific locations, where landscapes themselves seem to retain memory. Temples, forests, mountains, and rivers become settings for repeated occurrences, suggesting that certain spaces are inherently receptive to the extraordinary. Observers may note subtle changes in light, the behavior of animals, or unusual weather patterns, interpreted as signs of presence or intervention. These elements deepen the connection between physical space and narrative, allowing the listener to imagine a world alive with hidden significance. Time plays a unique role in these stories. Many events are described as occurring in moments when perception is heightened, dawn, dusk, or during seasonal transitions. In these liminal periods, the ordinary and extraordinary blend, allowing humans to witness glimpses of something beyond the immediate. By recounting these tales with a slow, rhythmic cadence, the narrative mirrors the ebb and flow of time itself, creating an immersive experience that fosters relaxation, curiosity, and reflection. Some legendary events are associated with the miraculous survival or guidance of travelers, warriors, or ordinary villagers. Stories of sudden fogs concealing paths, animals leading lost travelers to safety, or objects appearing to provide sustenance or protection illustrate the subtle intervention of unseen forces. These accounts emphasize attentiveness, respect, and harmony with the environment, reminding listeners that extraordinary experiences often arise from quiet interaction with the world rather than overt heroics. The layering of history and legend enhances the richness of these narratives. Chronicles, oral histories, and local folklore often converge, each offering a slightly different perspective on the same event. This multiplicity reinforces the sense that mystery is enduring and multidimensional. By slowly exploring each layer, the listener can appreciate the depth of human experience, the resilience of stories, and the interplay between what is known and what remains elusive. Natural elements frequently amplify the sense of the extraordinary. A sudden breeze, shifting shadows, or the glint of sunlight through trees can transform an ordinary scene into one imbued with meaning. Mountains, rivers, and forests act as both stage and participant, reinforcing the presence of mystery. By attending to these sensory details, the listener is gently guided into a reflective state, observing not only the narrative but also the subtle rhythms of the world around them. Ultimately, extraordinary tales and legendary events remind us that Asia's mysteries are not confined to relics, texts, or rituals. They are alive in the unfolding of everyday life, in the quiet interaction between humans, nature, and unseen forces. By recounting these stories with care, attention, and deliberate pacing, the listener is invited to experience both curiosity and calm, imagining the extraordinary in the ordinary, while remaining immersed in a meditative rhythm. Thus, as we leave the scenes of miraculous encounters, hidden signs, and inexplicable events, the listener carries with them a gentle awareness of the extraordinary woven through history, landscape, and human imagination. The stories prepare the mind for the next chapter, which will explore the enduring legacy of myths, the preservation of legend, and the ways in which Asia's mysteries continue to inspire wonder, reflection, and quiet fascination across generations.